Hey folks, this is Larry Schaefer with Tercero Wines. First of all, I want to thank you, all of you at Revisit Wine Company, for giving me a shot and having my wines in front of you. I've known Mike and Mary now for a bit of time here, and I'm so ecstatic that they've chosen my wines to share with you. As you know, there's a lot of wine out there. No one needs any specific wine, so it's an honor to get my wines in front of people. Little background, I did not start out in the wine business. I actually started out in other industries. About 20 years ago, I was actually living in Orange County, where I think a lot of you live. And it was time for a change. I had done all I wanted to do in the industries I was in, and I felt like my mind wasn't being challenged. And so I started going back to school at community colleges down there, at Irvine Valley and Rancho Santiago colleges, taking all the science courses that I never had any desire to do. And I was taking them literally with kids who could have been my kids. I did that for 2 years. I worked part-time in Temecula, and then I transferred to UC Davis and got my master's degree in viticulture and enology. So I understand the science of winemaking, but hopefully you'll get an understanding from me that science explains how wine is made, but it doesn't explain how you react to wines. That's a very personal thing. And I'm ecstatic to have you try my wines and hopefully enjoy them. So I've been making wine about 20 years. I was on the winemaking team at Fess Parker Winery for a number of years and then left to start my own brand. Tercero means third in Spanish. I'm a third child. I had 3 kids, but I just got remarried and had a 4th. So I kind of screwed that up in a little way. And then when I also went to UC Davis as an undergraduate, and the dormitory complexes there were Primero, Segundo, Tercero, y Cuarto, and I lived in Tercero for a couple of years. So that's kind of the impetus of why the name is what it is. I concentrate mainly on Rhone varieties. There's actually an organization called the Rhone Rangers, which is an advocacy group for Rhone varieties grown domestically. I'm vice president of the board of directors, so it's something that's near and dear to my heart. So 2 of the 3 wines we're having today are Rhone varieties, and one of them is not. You'll hopefully be able to figure that out pretty quickly. So I just kind of wanted to go through the 3 wines that you have as part of this club package. The first one is my 2021 Cinsault Rosé. Cinsault is a variety that not many people know about. It is a huge berried variety, so think of the largest table grape that you can, and that's the size of this berry. The grapes come in, I foot stomp the grapes, and yes, literally I go in and foot stomp, and I don't let anyone else do it. I leave the grapes, in this case, on the skins overnight. I hit it with a little CO2 to make sure that it's not going to oxidize overnight, but they're sitting in bins overnight, and then the next day I dump it into the press, I press it, and then I ferment it and age it in stainless steel. But I need to let it get on the skins overnight to actually extract some color, because the berries are so big, it doesn't take on a lot of color. So this is definitely my spring summer rosé. I make 2 rosés. This is bright and fresh and crisp and just enjoyable to drink kind of before a meal and during a meal. So I'll enjoy with that one. The second wine that you're having, and you're actually pretty fortunate because you have some of the very last bottles of my very, very first release of Pinot Noir. So this is a Pinot Noir that comes from a vineyard called the Kessler Hawk Vineyard, which is in the Santa Rita Hills. So west of where I'm standing in my taste room right now in Los Olivos. It's about 20 miles west of me. There are 3 different clones that I worked with, and each clone brings something different to the table. So this is a combination of 3 of them. Each of them was brought in separately, foot stomped by me again, fermented with the stems. So all my reds are fermented with the stems to add some extra nuance to the wine. After it's done fermenting, it's pressed, and then in this case, it was aged in older French oak, 4 to 6-year-old French oak barrels for a little over a year before bottling about a year ago. So this is a 2020, my very, very first release of Pinot Noir. I mainly do Rhone varieties, like I said, and I really hadn't thought of doing a Pinot Noir. And there's 3 reasons why I started doing Pinot Noir. Number 1, 2020 was a year to do something different. As we all know, it was a challenging year and an interesting year. Number 2, my wife loves Pinot, and said if I don't, there's going to be some damage, and I don't like damage, and she's a Viking, so that wouldn't work out. And number 3, we should not ever say never or always. I said I was never going to do Pinot because I'm a Rhone guy. And when I think about that now, it sounds like an 8-year-old stomping their feet, saying I'm never going to do something. It's pretty stupid. So I decided to go ahead and start making Pinot, and ecstatic I did. In fact, I just bottled my 2021s a couple of weeks ago. So I'm really excited about this. I hope you guys enjoy it. Because it wasn't in new or 1 or even 2-year-old oak barrels, it definitely has a brightness to it that I think you're going to enjoy. But I'm really looking forward to feedback on this as well. And yes, like I said, I'm almost sold out. In fact, I'm holding an empty bottle because I don't have many bottles left. So that's this. And then the third wine that's in the group is 100% Mourvedre. So Mourvedre is originally a Spanish variety. Some people know it as Mataro or Monastrell. That's its original name in Spain, and then it was brought over into France, where they call it Mourvedre. Some people pronounce it Mourvedre, some people pronounce it Mouvedre, some people pronounce it Mourvèdre. It's the M in a GSM, if you're unfamiliar with what that is, a kind of a traditional blend. Another winemaker in my area calls this Mourvèdre. I think that's perfect. The name should never get in the way of the enjoyment of the wine. This is a blend of 3 different sites throughout Santa Barbara County. Each was brought in separately, foot stomped again by me, fermented with those stems, pressed, and then in this case, aged 3 years in older French oak barrels, never taken out of the barrel during that 3-year process. And then I put a blend together at the end to try to take advantage of the nuances that each site brings to the table. So for me, a good Mourvedre needs to have some brambly fruit, some kind of wild fruit, but it also has to have a very strong earthy component. That's kind of the telltale signs to me of what a Mourvedre is, and I think this does it in spades. So this has been in bottle now for a number of years. It's a 2014. This is actually the end of this current release. It may sound crazy to have a 2014 as a current release, but I think when you open this wine and try it, you won't find it to be a quote-unquote tired wine. So again, these are 3 of the 15 or so wines that I make. I'm really looking forward to feedback from you. And if you're ever in the Los Olivos area in Santa Ynez Valley, please hit me up. I'd love to host you in the tasting room and pour some additional wines for you. Thank you guys once again. Thanks to Mike and Mary and Revisit, and I'll look forward to communicating with you indirectly or directly at some point in the future. Cheers, everyone.